Any health-related information on the following show provides general information only. Content presented on any show by any host or guest should not be substituted for a doctor's advice. Always consult your physician before beginning any new diet, exercise, or treatment program.
Hi, I'm Sarah Banta at Accelerated Health Radio and TV, and also the owner of Accelerated Health Products. And I am so excited to be bringing you the announcement of the Accelerated Thyroid Supplement. If you know me, you know that I just am so into thyroid health because it is the master endocrine organ. And people used to think it was the pituitary, but the thyroid, as the master endocrine gland of human metabolism, it regulates everything: the energy levels, your heart rate, your blood pressure, free radical damage from fats, blood calcium levels, your body temperature, immune response to infection, toxins, allergens, physical development, mental growth, development, including IQ and nerve function and muscle tone. And with that, we also know that you need a strong thyroid to help with your immune system and just that chi, the life force in you, the giddy up that gets you out of bed to make your hormones work right. And where are your thyroid hormones made? They're made in the liver. So we're going to touch on the liver as well. And you know I love my Acceleradine, so we're going to also touch on that and how that fits in with the new Accelerated Thyroid. If you have low thyroidism or symptoms of a Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism, that could mean that you are overweight. You're chronically fatigued, especially in the morning. You're depressed, you're irritable, you get sick a lot, you have muscle weakness, you're sensitive to cold, your hands and feet are cold, you get cold in bed, constipated. Think about it. If your thyroid's not working with that energy to be pumping blood and pumping energy throughout the body, your bowels are going to be slow too. I always know when my thyroid is off, I'm constipated. You have a low libido, your heart rate or blood pressure, you've got issues with those, fluid retention or lymph drainage issues, allergies or dry skin, hair falling out. I've known so many women, especially over the last 2 years, complaining about hair loss, and it's connected to the thyroid. What's gone on in the last couple of years has really tanked thyroid health in general. You could have kidney function issues, slow speech, impaired concentration or brain fog, memory issues, gastrointestinal disturbances, deafness, and a couple other symptoms as well we'll get into. But why did I come up with Accelerated Thyroid? Iodine and the Acceleradine are imperative, not just for thyroid function, but so many other things. And we'll get into that in a minute. But what happens with the Accelerated Thyroid is that so many people are taking their meds and they don't feel different because the doctors are addressing TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, which is actually a pituitary hormone. It's your pituitary screaming at your thyroid to produce T4. But that T4, which stands for tyrosine and 4 molecules of iodine, to convert into T3 in your liver. That's why we need to love our liver, right? And that's the active form. So that T4 isn't doing you any good. So if you're not taking care of your liver health and you're only taking a supplement or a medication that is addressing your T4, you're missing the boat on thyroid health. So before we get into this, I want you to sit there and listen to your body. You're in control. So do you feel better? Do you have energy in the morning? Do you need lots of coffee or monster drinks to get through the day? It could be your adrenal and your thyroid health. It's not on, even if the blood test says that you're within normal range. Accelerated Thyroid combines 2 supplements that I've been taking into one, but then takes the ingredients to a much higher level, because you know me, Sarah Banta at Accelerated Health Products, I don't produce anything unless it's the best of the best and it's cutting edge and it's going to save you money. So we combine the ancient herbal wisdom with the advances of glandular therapy, and we've created this formula to combine the two formulas that I've been taking into one to have that synergistic effect of the formula, and also to save you money so you don't have to keep buying two supplements. And then we take it to another level and we added additional ingredients to enhance not just the thyroid health, but overall physical and mental health. The first ingredient is one that you may not have heard of. It's an Ayurvedic ingredient called Kanchanara Guggulu, and this ancient herbal formula was specifically designed to treat all different types of thyroid concerns, as well as thyroid cysts. It has the ability to cleanse the thyroid gland and strengthen it. And what makes it different than any other Kanchanara-based formula out there is the accelerated thyroid is taking the best quality. Most other companies have taken the original Kanchanara formula and have adjusted the ingredients to cheapen it to save money. And unfortunately, because of labor costs and supply shortages, that has gotten even worse over the last couple of years. So these ingredients must be in the right ratios to have the healing effect intended by the master herbalist that created the formula. Traditionally, in Ayurvedic medicine, Kanchanara is used for hypothyroidism, obesity, thyroid cysts or nodules, cervical lymph issues, PCOS, liver cyst, goiters, polycystic kidney disease, skin diseases, tonsillitis, a lot of things, uterine fibroids, ovarian cysts, and endometriosis, and helping to break down fatty accumulations in the body. There's so many other uses for Kanchanara, but as per the Ayurvedic, it's meant to balance the excess pitta, which means fire, and the kapha, which means water. If you've heard of those terms before, I'm double water. What does that mean? That means that my digestion's slow, that I tend to retain water and have edema. My husband, on the other hand, he is all fire. His fire, his pitta is through the roof, where his digestion is great, but he can get headaches. He can get overheated. So those are just a couple terms to know in the background. So the Kanchanara helps reduce or break down that deep-seated kapha, or water in the body, and supports proper circulation of the blood, supports the elimination of toxins from the body, and helps with that energy or that circulation, the life force in the body. It's going to help maintain the healthy glandular functions, maintain healthy functioning of the thyroid gland, help support detoxification. I know that I really believe the importance of constant detoxification, especially in our world today. And it also helps maintain healthy functioning of the gland secretions. So in the accelerated thyroid, what is different with the Kanchanara? We only use organic herbs in the formula. We only use concentrated extracts, which means it's obviously more powerful. And we are following the exact formula percentages as written by the herbal master that created this formula hundreds of years ago. We're not trying to mess with what works, right? So at Accelerated Health Products, I always take what works and makes it better. And if someone's doing something perfectly out there, there's no need to improve on perfection. I will carry that company's supplement. But when it came to thyroid, there was so much we needed to do to improve and make the ultimate thyroid supplement. Next, in addition to the Kanchanara, we use freeze-dried thyroid glandular. And something that most people don't know is most glandulars out there, they strip it of something, right? It's not a complete one. So to this master formula, we've added a small amount of the thyroid glandular, and it's to help with the thyroid support. We found that most people need a little extra thyroid glandular extract to keep their thyroid and metabolism of the body working at its optimal level. And each dose of the accelerated thyroid has 100 milligrams of the freeze-dried thyroid glandular, which is in exactly the 3 capsules. So you can start slow and see how you feel on it. With that, we have added L-tyrosine. And if you've heard me talk about my acceleridine and the importance of iodine, you've heard me properly talk about tyrosine. And the reason is that thyroid hormone, the T4 that converts into T3, that T stands for tyrosine. That is found in wild animal protein. So you vegans and vegetarians out there, you might be missing that tyrosine unless you are supplementing with it. It is one of the 20 amino acids that the body uses to make proteins and hormones. And the body needs the amino acid tyrosine for so many functions, especially for thyroid performance. A lack of it can create that hypothyroid condition. And amino acids, specifically tyrosine, are responsible for the structure of proteins in the body, and it's required for the body to produce the important neurotransmitters like L-DOPA, epinephrine, and the body's natural feel-good dopamine. So a lot of doctors or practitioners will prescribe their clients to supplement with tyrosine if they're having depression. So you can see how this could be connected to your mood, right? Without adequate amounts of L-tyrosine, depression and other common symptoms of underactive thyroid, like the hypothyroidism, can become more prominent. And also without it, it will work in conjunction with the iodine to produce the thyroxine, the main thyroid hormone, and it will also then help with the conversion of the T4 to T3. It helps with adrenal and pituitary function as well. So when you're taking it, it is needed that you're taking the acceleridine iodine as well to create that thyroid hormone, the T4. And the Google in this formula helps with the conversion of the T4 to T3, the active thyroid hormone. Super important to know. Tyrosine supports the adrenal, thyroid, and the pituitary glands. Now, I said that the thyroid gland is the master endocrine gland, but people think the pituitary gland is that master endocrine gland. Obviously, pituitary is super important as well, and so are your adrenals. So the effects of the L-tyrosine supplementation are most apparent during periods of stress. Why? Because all of those glands are affected. Tyrosine can reduce the level of stress hormones and alleviate the presentations of stress, such as fatigue and cognitive decline. This is, of course, going to help with your brain fog. We already said that the tyrosine forms the backbone of many hormones, and this is also true of the thyroid hormone T4, which is the most abundant thyroid hormone in your body. This entire process starts with both tyrosine and iodine. Both of these nutrients are critical for thyroid hormone, and deficiencies in one or both can result in disordered thyroid hormone production and metabolism. Tyrosine is a non-essential amino acid, which means that your body can produce from other amino acids, but iodine must be taken in order for it to work. So that's a little bit more about the tyrosine. Really important for resilience, really important for stress, for depression, for dopamine, for the other hormones, for your adrenal health. All of those things really important. That's why truly at the last minute we added the L-tyrosine. We also added L-threonine, which is one of my favorite supplements. And we put this also in the accelerated keto. And that also gives you that calm energy. Threonine, is an essential amino acid that plays an important role in regulating protein balance in the body, and it's considered an essential amino acid, and that means that the body does not synthesize the amino acid. So we need to eat foods high in threonine to obtain it. And what does it do in the body? Helps prevent fatty liver. There's the liver again. We need to love our liver. So when you're combining this with the accelerated keto, intermittent fasting, the acceleradine, we are cleansing the liver and taking down the fat accumulation, the water accumulation in our body, and we just feel so much better. It helps prevent that fatty buildup in the liver. And it does this by regulating fat metabolism and facilitating lipotrophic function. Lipotrophic compounds work to break down fat during metabolism, and without the amino acid threonine, methionine, and aspartic acid, this wouldn't be possible. Threonine deficiency can lead to fatty liver and eventually liver failure, and you do not need to be drinking alcohol to have fatty liver. In fact, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is one of the fastest growing diseases in the United States. It also helps with wound healing. Threonine is needed for the proper production of collagen, which who doesn't want better collagen production as we get older? It's required for connective tissue formation and wound healing. That strong connective tissue and bones threonine helps with as well. It helps with the formation and maintenance of strong, healthy connective tissue. Other than water, collagen is the most prevalent substance in the body. It literally is everywhere, and it strengthens our skin, bones, muscles, and lines our arteries and our digestive tracts. Threonine is necessary for healthy collagen because it's the precursor to two other amino acids, serine and glycine, and that makes up collagen. It also helps speed the wound, speeds up the healing of wounds and broken bones. It also helps with immune support and then mood support as well. The first signs of L-threonine deficiency is sudden severe mood swings and irritability, also confusion, digestive problems, and then of course, fatty liver. It helps strengthen digestion. Threonine protects your digestive tract by producing this nice mucus layer and covers the digestive tract. The mucus provides that necessary barrier to keep your digestive enzymes from eating through your intestines. And studies have shown that low levels of threonine in animals result in digestive problems and lower immune function. Researchers also believe this is due to poor quality mucus barrier in the gut. Insufficient threonine may also cause leaky gut, where the allergens such as gluten are able to pass through the bloodstream and cause allergies. Something to think about if all of a sudden you're having allergies and you didn't before. It also is essential for B12 production. And that's in your body. B12 is key to your energy, mood, memory, heart health, skin, and hair. B12 is found in animal protein. So it's another thing that is really important when we're eating the proper proteins, along with thyroid health and putting all the pieces together for optimal health. So why do we need the acceleradine in addition to the accelerated thyroid? Another side point, I almost put iodine in the supplement, but I didn't because kelp would be the one, the powder form that you could put in a powder capsule. Most kelp is all radioactive or heavy with heavy metals or toxins. So you can't do it properly. That's why it's so important to have the iodine and the acceleradine. And what does acceleradine do? Well, number one, for our pregnant and children in the world, you are all needing more iodine than the average population. 96% of the US is deficient in iodine. What are signs that you have iodine deficiency? Mental retardation, dyslexia, ADHD, hyperactivity, miscarriages, stillbirths, just thyroid and breast cancer and apathetic children with a low capacity to speak. Think about how you're feeling as I'm talking with all of these tips and tools. And wouldn't it feel great if you could feel the circulation going through your blood and your brain's on fire, your body's on fire, and knowing that your thyroid is the bridge between your body and your brain, right? So it is the bridge to help with your energy up top and down below, with hair growth, with opening your pineal gland so that your spiritual health can get to another level and increase your frequency of living in life. Isn't that just an amazing feeling to know that you are living your optimal level of health? Well, why do we need that iodine too? Iodine supports that apoptosis, and apoptosis is programmed cell death of unhealthy cells to protect against cancer and facilitate healthy growth in fetus and children, especially during pregnancy. Fetuses undergo the more apoptosis than any other stage. So you really do need it during those stages, especially, but everybody needs that iodine. It also increases IQ, and studies have shown that children taking iodine supplementation have an increased IQ of 13.5 points. It also helps improve mood, like I mentioned. So mood can be affected by low thyroid and specifically by low iodine. So you want to make sure you're covering all of that. It also helps negate the EMFs. And today, our kids, you and me, we're on Zooms, we're on our computers, we're on our phones, we're living in homes with smart meters. We're doing everything we can to protect ourselves from EMFs, but it's really difficult to, unless we're going to live out in the boonies, we need to protect ourselves from the inside out, and that's with the acceleridine. Acceleridine is the only iodine that's feeding all 100 trillion cells in your body and actually detoxing those cells of the radiation and the EMFs. A recent study in the International Journey of Radiation Biology shows that frequency emitted by cell phones induces hypothyroidism. That study was done on like iPhone 1. I don't even know if that was what it was even called, but not the iPhones that we're using now that are seriously so much more powerful. So you can only imagine what the EMFs today are doing. Really think about yourself, how you feel when you're holding your phone all day versus when you put it down for an hour, you go for a walk in the sun. Just feel your whole nervous system just kind of calm down. That is how much it's affecting your body. It really scrambles your DNA. Well, the acceleridine helps detox you from the radiation. And especially when you combine that with the Nuke No More regimen that I have at sarahbantahealth.com, when you put the two together, that is zeroing you out of radiation, non-ionizing and ionizing radiation. And radiation is so bad for your thyroid. Really important to take account of the EMFs and protect yourself. I also like to wear the X49 LifeWave patch, which helps with putting a barricade essentially in protecting your body from EMFs as well on the cellular stem cell level. So that's another tip that you can use for that EMF. It also helps with fat burning and muscle building, which is really important to be taking note of as we're getting older, especially into our 40s, 50s, and 60s. You need to keep that muscle mass on your body for longevity. Well, iodine also helps support protein synthesis, and our protein synthesis declines as we get older as well. Iodine is essential in thyroid hormone synthesis, and it affects increased protein synthesis and oxygen consumption. Thyroid hormones are essential for children as well, not just us over 40, and it activates key biochemical reactions, including protein synthesis enzymatic activities and organ development in the brain, heart, muscles, pituitary, and kidneys. So you can imagine all the growth that's happening in a child, in a fetus, and also when you're pregnant. I don't know about you, but when I was pregnant through my 3 pregnancies, I couldn't remember where I parked my car. And that's called pregnancy brain. All right. So this will definitely help with pregnancy brain. It also helps with brain fog just as you're getting older. It reduces the inflammation throughout the body as well. Iodine destroys pathogens, mold, fungus, parasites, even malaria. In an age of antibiotics where the superbugs are evolving, iodine can be really helpful, along with, of course, the accelerated silver, help boost the immune system and help devitalize the foreign pathogens that we are being bombarded with. Our bodies are becoming resistant to those antibiotics. So we want to boost our immune system naturally through diet, through supplementation, through the patches that we can be wearing to increase ATP production at the cellular level. All of these things are the pieces to the puzzle. Iodine eliminates those halogen toxins. So go back to your chemistry class. We've got iodine and fluoride and bromide and chloride all in the same family, right? So if we don't have enough thyroid or iodine in our body, those toxins in our food, the bromide in the bread, the chlorine in our water, and the fluoride in our water and our toothpaste, all of that is going to be calcifying in our brain, in our pituitary, and in our thyroid, in our breast tissue. This is where breast disease and the big C comes from, is those halogens that are filling those receptor sites. Did you know breast tissue has 4 times the amount of iodine receptors than the thyroid itself? So really important. And we want to make sure, you're matching the acceleradine with the benefits of the accelerated thyroid, and you're getting this synergistic effect of everything working the way it's meant to work. And it also, iodine regulates estrogen production. Thyroid has a huge impact on estrogen production. So does your liver, right? We need to keep our liver clean. Iodine governs estrogen production by the ovaries, and estrogen and progesterone, which most people don't know, compete for the same receptor site. And infertility and miscarriage are both associated with estrogen dominance and progesterone deficiency, which links back to iodine deficiency. So you want to make sure that you are taking that iodine to kick out the wrong estrogens. And this is also where the liver is really important, because the liver is where you're detoxing all of those xenoestrogens, the halogens that we just talked about, the radiation. If you have a whole bunch of liver or gallstones just sitting in your liver, imagine frozen peas. I guess they wouldn't have to be frozen, but green peas in your liver, hundreds and thousands of them. How is the fat burning going to happen in your liver? Your liver won't be able to do its work. It won't be able to convert T4 to T3. And that tyrosine and iodine aren't really going to be doing their job if there's so many stones in there. That's why I promote you doing a liver flush at least 3 to 4 times a year. I've included it in my Ascent Diet Cleanse. That's my most comprehensive cleanse that comes with the free group coaching. I take you through every step, super easy to do. But why do I include all of that? I include the acceleradine, I include the liver flush, I include the accelerated keto that helps get you to intermittent fast, increase your fat burning, has those extra cofactor ingredients that are Ayurvedic ingredients that, excuse me, there was a little bug there, that help with the fat burning and melting that saturated fat into unsaturated fat, which then you can actually burn much more easily, goes after the liver fat, goes after the visceral fat that's dangerous. Why is all of that important? Because your liver's where your thyroid hormones are made and turned into the active thyroid hormones. And that is also affecting your adrenals and your other hormones, your estrogen dominance. Let's get that under control in men and women. You men out there, are you working out and eating right and you're not building the muscle that you thought you should be, or you can't burn that fat? That could be because you have estrogen dominance. What's causing that estrogen dominance? Diet, alcohol, the xenoestrogens that we're exposed to, all of those things. So we have to be detoxing our body in the proper way. The Ascent Diet Cleanse takes you through it, but you feel great day one. You're eating real food. You're not juicing. I'm actually against juicing. You're not hungry ever, and you don't have headaches. I walk you through all of that. But this is why I include the liver flush in the Ascent Diet Cleanse. Super important to keep our liver clean for detoxing from those estrogens, and iodine is a huge part of that. It regulates the estrogen production, but then it also kicks out those xenoestrogens at the cellular level. When you look at the history of iodine studies, dosages, right now they recommend between 150 and 300 micrograms, right? And doctors and practitioners are very afraid to recommend their patients be taking iodine. But as early as 1911, people were taking 300 to 900 micrograms without any negative side effects. So it's really interesting. And one of the reasons practitioners fear excess iodine supplementation is that there may be a transient increase of TSH, that thyroid stimulating hormone, for 6 months. Now remember, thyroid stimulating hormone is not a thyroid hormone. It's a pituitary hormone. So when you start taking that iodine, your body, all the 100 trillion cells in your body wake up. And the thyroid's getting the iodine first, right? And then the rest of the body is saying, wait a second, I need some. Let's shoot up the TSH, because the whole body wakes up and screaming at the body to get more iodine to feed every 100 trillion cells in that body. So it's really important to be feeding the iodine to every 100 trillion cells of the body. Why do the blood tests not work? Practitioners fail to test for iodine deficiency the proper way. And this is why. The only test for some thyroid hormones like T4 and TSH, they might push for a T3 or reverse T3, but what happens is the test misses that the adrenals secrete the backup T4 and T3, and the iodine is displaced by fluoride, chlorine, and bromine, and the radioactive iodine from its rightful receptors, which renders the T4 and T3 useless. Remember when I was talking about the accelerated thyroid supplement, I talked about the adrenal health and why it helps support adrenal health and pituitary. This is really important, especially for us women going into perimenopause and menopause. Our adrenals take over the production of our hormones from the organ that dies. Our ovaries die. It's really kind of magnificent that we have an organ that literally dies. And this is something that I've experienced, where I was one that liked to exercise and over-exercise before I really knew any better. And my body could handle it because I had good, strong adrenals. Well, as I've gotten older, my body says, nope, you're not going to do it today. And there's this big wall that comes up, and I listen to my body much better than I used to. But it shows you that the adrenal health is really important to pay attention to as you are paying attention to your thyroid health and everything else that's going on. So the most accurate thyroid test for decades before the blood test was taking your basal body temperature, and you want it between 97.8 degrees and 98.2. Below that range indicates that you have hypothyroidism. Above it indicates hyperthyroidism, or that you have an infection. So just so you know, a side point, if you do have a high temperature, don't take Advil or Tylenol. Your body is smart. It's triggering an increase in body temperature to fight off of that infection, if indeed it's an infection. In fact, every degree above that range triggers 556% increase in white blood cell production. So that's one thing to think about when you're testing your body temperature. How does iodine work in the body? Intracellularly, meaning inside the cell, iodine produces that energy, produces ATP production. Your ATP production increases by 18 times with iodine supplementation, with the acceleradine. And why do we want that ATP up? That's cellular energy. The other things that are going to help with that ATP production is the accelerated keto. It increases that number by at least 5 times. Then you add in intermittent fasting and a high wild animal protein diet. Remember, we want to focus on the wild animal protein because animals like chicken or conventional beef, pork, turkey, those have amyloid proteins which don't get broken down into the body. And we were talking about amino acids as tyrosine and threonine. Well, amino acids, there are much more amino acids in the proteins that we're eating, thinking we're getting all of these great amino acids. Well, your body can't break down these amyloid proteins found in chicken and conventional beef, pork, even turkey, especially now. What else those amyloid proteins do? They get lodged in your brain, causing dementia, Alzheimer's. They also cause wreak havoc in your gut and cause an uproar of gut pathogens. So maybe you're eating some chicken that doesn't have any E. coli in them, but the E. coli in your gut, because we all have a little bit of E. coli, gets flared up because the amyloid proteins feed that and cause a total disruption in your gut. Super important to be taking care of our gut as well. That's where the Ascent Diet Cleanse also goes into healing the gut, and so does my leaky gut bundle. So if you're really suffering from leaky gut, that's something to look into. But back to ATP, the accelerated keto is increasing the ketones in your body, which is increasing that ATP production, reducing inflammation in the brain and body, clearing the brain fog, giving you a steady source of energy in brain and body, mental and physically. You add in the acceleradine, you add in the accelerated thyroid, and your ATP production increases. Your thyroid's working just awesome. Your immune system is great. Now, what does iodine do outside the cell, extracellularly? It acts as an antioxidant, anti-allergenic. It detoxifies the cells. It's vasodilating, helping with vascular health. It helps with autoimmune issues. It induces that apoptosis that we talked about. And it is, so you are helping with all of the extracellularly functions, improving the immune system. And then you also add in the accelerated silver for your immune system. And really, it's very difficult for any issue to come and cause issue in your body. We all have viruses. We all have bacteria. Good, bad, we all have fungi. We all have all of these things. There's this nice, beautiful balance in all that's going on in our body. And our body is just a house for all this bacteria and the viruses and the foreign pathogens. But it's meant to be that way. We're not meant to just kill off one specific virus. We're not meant to go after one bacteria. Antibiotics go out after all of the bacteria in your gut, and that's why it can actually lower your immune system. So it's really important to think of your whole immune system as this beautiful microbiome that's working together and healing that gut, because the leaky gut is going to cause leaky brain. So if you're having gut issues, you're going to have neurotransmitter issues, dopamine issues, serotonin issues, brain fog, BDNF, that brain-derived neurotrophic factor that causes depression. And I talk about that at sarahbantahealth.com. Really important. All of this is connected. So where does accelerated ancient salt come in? You hear me talk about it with relationship to the thyroid and the acceleridine. Literally, we come down to salt, iodine, and water. An interesting aspect of the sodium potassium pump that maintains osmotic pressure is that it takes 3 sodium to bring 1 potassium inside the cell. Before I go further, I want to give you a little short story. Some of you may have heard it. Is my son, who was diagnosed with leukemia at the age of 9. We got over that we changed his diet. We enhanced helped his immune system with the accelerated silver. And then he became this rock star athlete and was competing at the national level for rowing. And any of you who have rowed out there know it's one of the most demanding muscle strength and endurance sports. Well, at the age of 15, in his pursuit of breaking that national record that he did at 16, he had issues with his heart. His heart was stopping, and he was pounding on his heart to get it going again. And there was a night at 2 a.m, I heard him banging on the wall in his room, trying to get my attention because his heart had stopped. I run in, and he's pounding on his chest and gets it going again. The reason he was able to get his heart going again was that he was 15 and his heart was in perfect condition. But what was going on? He was low in electrolytes, sodium potassium pump. That is the pump that helps with the electricity of our heart. We've got a whole electrical system going on. That's why electrolytes are so important in the body. So back to the sodium potassium pump. Regarding this fundamental pump, the majority of the sodium is located outside the cell and potassium's inside. When the body is low on sodium, potassium levels that leaves the intracellular environment to make up for the missing sodium. So what was happening with my son is he didn't have enough electrolytes because he was burning through them so much, working out too hard, as their coaches were definitely putting the pressure on. That's why if you are working out or you're doing sauna or you're sweating a lot or you work out in the sun, super important to be hydrating with the proper salt. So anyways, this condition shows up as high potassium in the blood, which is a red flag on blood tests. People low in sodium see a drop in their basal metabolic rate. So what if you just put a little accelerated ancient salt on your tongue to increase your metabolism? How about that? It's very strange. Sometimes in the afternoon, if I'm feeling low energy, I'll put some salt on my tongue and I actually can feel my thyroid go up, my metabolism go up, and my energy goes up. The reason that it is with low sodium, the blood gets thicker and starts using the precious iodine to clean it up. And when the sodium gets used up, the thyroid, which controls the temperature of the body with the iodine and thyroid hormone, is unable to keep the temperature within the optimal basal body temperature range. And as I've mentioned before in the past, the body holds 10.5 gallons of water. Can you believe that? Approximately 7 gallons are fresh water inside the cell and 3.5 gallons are salt water outside the cell. You've heard me talk about the body scan that I've done. What's really great about this body scan, it's called the InBody. It measures your intracellular and extracellular hydration. and how much water you have in there. If you have any questions about doing that body scan, you can also reach out to me, and I can connect you with Heather Hineker at Ascent, and she can help do that body scan for you. But what's great about it, it really shows you if you are truly hydrated. And hydration doesn't just come from water, but it is how intracellularly and extracellularly you are hydrated. Okay, so when the sodium drops, the kidneys have to reabsorb the precious sodium left and not urinate it out. It's normal to pass a huge amount of salt through the kidneys daily. Now, if you're on a high carb diet and then you switch to a low carb diet or a ketogenic diet, you are going to lose a lot of water and that water weight. And you're going to say, oh my gosh, I lost 5 pounds in 2 days. That's great. Well, that's a lot of water and you're losing a lot of electrolytes. Super important to be hydrating with those electrolytes, whether it's the accelerated ancient salt or the Quinton or the Wild Lights, and you can find all of those on my website as well. When there's not enough salt, not only is iodine used to clean up the resulting thick blood over and above iodine's vital role in the mitochondria and feeding all 100 trillion cells, but iodine is used heavily and wasted in the metabolic process to produce 7 hormones that are required to reabsorb precious sodium. Those hormones include adrenaline, aldosterone, noradrenaline, epinephrine, norepinephrine. Do those sound familiar to anybody? Stress hormones. So you can imagine if you're stressed and you're using a lot of those stress hormones, do you think maybe you need more iodine and more salt and more hydration? Yes. The body goes through those. And then back to the accelerated thyroid, how the accelerated thyroid supplement addresses being able to manage stress much better. That is so key to all of us living in this decade where stress just seems to be chronic. We are being chased by that tiger 100% of our time in our lives, and we are having a hard time getting back into that parasympathetic mode. So of course, I want you to get back into that parasympathetic mode, but while you're in that stress mode, you need to be supplying your body heavily with that iodine, with the accelerated thyroid, and then with the proper salts, the accelerated ancient salt. So producing any hormones is metabolically intensive. And when someone is cold at night, a clear indicator of hypothyroidism and low basal body temperature, by adding just a minimum of 1 1/3 teaspoons of the accelerated salt to their iodine regimen, increasing that to that level slowly helps to more quickly increase the basal body temperature back to normal range. Also, low salt results in thick blood, which gives rise to certain statin and diabetic drugs maybe. Salt pulls sugar and glucose out of the blood and thickens the acidic blood and damages the lining of the arteries. And so the liver has to produce cholesterol to patch up the damaged arterial lining. Cholesterol is not a bad thing. Cholesterol is the fireman that's showing up at the fire. The sugar and the glucose are what is causing the fire, okay? That's the match that's causing the fire. The fireman's just showing up to help you out. You need cholesterol. You also need cholesterol to build up your sex hormones. So a lot of people taking the statin drugs also are on Viagra because they're suffering in that hormonal area. So it's essential to supplement with the acceleridine, which is the only monoatomic iodine out there that feeds every one of the 100 trillion cells in your body. No other type of iodine is able to get to all of those other cells in the body. I want you to start with 3 drops in water 3 times a day on an empty stomach, at least 15 minutes away from other food and supplements. Increase by 1 drop per dose per day to 25 drops 3 times a day. And you stay at that level until the world's toxicity changes, which I don't see that happening soon. And then you add in the accelerated ancient salt, and this has over 62 minerals in it. It's a strongly negatively charged salt that helps pull out the positively charged toxins, parasites, and undigested fats. You can use it on your tongue to help with nausea, to suppress your appetite. All of these things are really important to work with the accelerated thyroid. I'm so excited for all of you to try it and to bring it to you and to combine that with the power of the acceleradine, the power of the accelerated silver, and the accelerated keto to truly bring you to your optimal state of health. If you have any questions for me, join the group coaching on Telegram. It's free. There's no downside. And it is in the link below. Leave comments below with your questions. You can also comment or contact me directly through my website, sarahbantahealth.com. Thanks so much and have a great day.